The previous basket is under review.
Welcome back to Stats by Will and Jim, a college basketball podcast that focuses on the numbers. We are proudly under the Basket Under Review umbrella, so please check out the site, check out the Discord. We think it's the best college basketball community going on the internet. Only $10 a month gets you access to all kinds of written content from people like Will Warren, my co-host here on Stats by Will and Jim, Brian Rolfe, Jordan Majeski, plenty of other fantastic writers throughout the week. Multiple pieces coming every single day. All of them love college basketball, and that shows through in the writing. You also get access to the Discord, where there's constant chatter about anything and everything you might possibly want to talk about in the college basketball world. Again, that is just $10 a month. That is Basket Under Review. Join if you haven't. Tell a friend if you have. That's Basket Under Review. All right, Will. I'm Jim Root. I'm the host. I'm joined by Will. Will, how are we feeling? I know you said you just got back from a run. It is an early morning record for us here on a Tuesday. This will come out on Wednesday. Are we situated into the season yet? Are we fully locked down before Feast Week comes next week?
Yeah, I'm locked down. They have me padded in the cell. But no, so quick trip report. I went to Chicago with my dad this weekend.
Oh.
I know I should have reached out, but like
it's
hard enough. It's like hard enough taking my dad places, and I'm not like trying to, be mean to him. But like, so we went to Northwestern DePaul Friday night. I have a couple of stories I'll get to, but it's hard enough explaining to him who Kevin Sweeney is and why I'm going to meet up with Kevin Sweeney. And I was just like, he works for Sports Illustrated. And I dropped that not to like, read off Kevin's resume for him, but to like name something my dad knows exists, because he has not adjusted well to the internet era of gathering sports information.
So you can't tell him that Jim Root works for Three Man Weave? That wouldn't get him there?
No, he would not understand what that is. So like, for example, my dad went to Michigan. We went to the game at Wrigley on Saturday. His way of like knowing information is not reading MGO blog, which is like peak for, a fan site. His way of information is forwarding me emails from Michigan athletics.
Okay.
So like, if he sees something interesting in like the game recap on mgoblue.com, he doesn't send me the article. He forwards me the email that contains a link to the article.
Okay. So yeah, he's not real. He's not all over it. And I will tell the people too right now.
This is a former IT guy, by the way.
Yeah. Can we get him to fix the Cloudflare issue on the internet right now as we record? We are fighting a battle with no KenPom available, no Twitter available. I'm sure people, this is like old news as they listen to this on Wednesday, but we're going to be digging deep on resources without access to a couple of our go-to spots.
Yeah, very low information voters here. So two things really quick. One, I witnessed possibly the most DePaul basketball loss on Friday night. I would wager it's well up there. Two, I witnessed possibly the most Northwestern football loss on Saturday morning.
Yeah, you were
I don't know if you saw this game. Are you aware of like how it went down?
I don't know exactly. The last I saw was Northwestern was up 22-21 on Michigan, I believe. Yeah.
So Michigan won on a walk-off field goal, which is bad enough. But Michigan lost the turnover battle 5-0. Can you name for me the last time a power conference team won a power conference game despite losing the turnover battle 5-0 or greater?
Wow, I certainly can't.
Just like the year. I want you to name the year.
Okay, I'll go with 2006.
Very close. 2005.
Oh, man.
So I saw the first time this happened in 20 years. And of course it happens to poor Northwestern.
Poor Northwestern on Wrigley Field, the like kind of odd-shaped football where they the square peg into the round hole on the stadium there. Was it cool though? Was the setting awesome?
The setting is amazing. Like, if there's a baseball stadium where they should do this, that's the only one. Like, I don't think you should do it at Yankee Stadium. It's too big. I don't think you should do it at, like, pretty much any other ballpark. Definitely none of the more modern ones. The only one I'm thinking where this would be kind of cool is, like, PNC Park. And that's just because PNC Park is a great baseball stadium. But even so, I think Wrigley just, I don't know, it's such a good place. Everything about it was great. We like to let the train die down. We went to some karaoke bar after, and I think I've learned at 32, I need to either be 22 or 52 to enjoy the karaoke.
Okay. Well, do you happen to remember the name of the karaoke bar? Was it
Trader
Todd's? Your co-host here has sang "You've Got a Friend in Me" by Randy Newman at that exact karaoke bar in the last 2 months. So
I didn't hate it by any means. I was just like, now if I were with friends, it would be better. When you're with your father and somebody's doing like a horrific cover of "Ironic" by Alanis Morissette,
yeah.
then like it gets a little painful. And I was just like, I was waiting for him to finish his Modelo, so I was like, oh, let's get on the friggin' train.
Understandable. Yeah. Okay, to the listeners, we will talk basketball. I promise that we're going to get to that. But sometimes
the trip review is over. Don't worry.
Yeah, sometimes we just got.
O'Hare was great, by the way. No problems with O'Hare.
Okay, all right, there we go. Love to hear that.
No issues.
So we are going to do our normal in-season layout here. We'll each have 7 numbers from the week that was, go back and forth, going over those numbers and discussing why they stood out to us. We'll start with a quick trivia question here in a second. But that is the general format. If you're unfamiliar, that's what we'll do. We kind of just let the numbers guide our takes through each and every episode. All right, that trivia question I alluded to, Will, I was poking around on a couple different sites trying to figure out what I wanted to ask you. And I got to CBB Analytics with their rim and 3 rate numbers. And I know we did this, the highest rim and 3 rate teams in the preseason from last year. But I want to ask you the 5 lowest power conference teams in rim and 3 rate this year. So teams that are taking a ton of mid-range. They also count paint 2s, like your floater range, maybe hook shots as non-rim and 3 shots. So in the Power 5, can you guess? Hopefully you can get like 2 or 3 of them. There were a couple that surprised me.
Houston is always very low in this. So I'm going to say Houston.
Houston is the 3rd lowest of all power conference teams. They're in the 13th percentile nationally.
I'm going to say UCLA.
They are the lowest. Well done, Will. They are the only power conference team in the bottom 10% of Division I. So for them to be in the 2nd percentile is pretty damning for them, having played 3 bye games and 1 game against Arizona.
The term toilet ball, I mean, not to be rude to UCLA, but I feel like that term was invented for UCLA.
Yeah, the offense is icky right now, despite having a lot of offensive talent.
I couldn't begin to guess the others. I wish like Power 5 meant Memphis, because I would guess Memphis for this based on watching them a couple of times.
I would imagine they're there. I only recorded the Power 5, so unfortunately I can't confirm that, but it does feel right. My
one other guess here is like, could Arizona be on this just because they've taken so few threes?
Well done, Will. Yes, they are 5th, the 5th lowest, 16th percentile nationally. The other 2, definitely one of them surprised me. Number 2, the 2nd lowest is SMU. They actually get to the rim a lot, but they take no threes, none at all. So that has deflated their numbers here. And number 4, really eyebrow raising for me, Vanderbilt, a very high mid-range and paint shot distribution. Will, they have attempted 0 corner threes this year. They've not taken a corner 3, which really stunned me. Only 15% of their attempts are at the rim, but they're lighting it up on above the break 3s. They're making everything in the paint. I could not believe this, just because I figured, Byington very ahead of the curve analytically. They've got a bunch of great shooters, but yeah, these are, CBB Analytics. I'm trusting the numbers here.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. See, that goes against your old, what was that site? 82 Games. That was like the forefront of the NBA analytics movement.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
They were big on like showing you how corner threes were like an inefficiency to be exploited. That's interesting. I would not have guessed that for Vandy.
And their top 5 offense, they've scored like 1.4 points per possession 3 times already. Like, they're just eviscerating teams, but doing it slightly unconventionally, I guess, at this point. But yeah, 1st percentile in rim frequency, but 99th percentile in paint frequency. So a lot of like that kind of floater, short finish, 99th percentile and above the break 3s as well. Really, really shocking to see they haven't taken a corner 3. A couple other Power 5 teams that are very low in this particular category: Stanford, Michigan State, not surprising there, Rutgers, Georgia Tech, kind of usual suspects, and then Ole Miss. I guess Chris Beard's team often feast in the mid-range, kind of ISO heavy, but The Vanderbilt one was the one that stood out as an offense that ranks so highly nationally. To see them there was a little bit shocking for me. All right. Before we get into our numbers and go back and forth here, I want to give a quick shout out to Home Field, the best place to get your college sports apparel for the current college basketball season. They've got all kinds of unique logos, unique gear. You can get it on a hat. You can get it on a jacket. They've got brand new jackets that are extremely sharp, and I highly recommend those. They've got t-shirts, sweatpants, whatever it is you want to express your college basketball or your college fandom. Get there to Home Field Apparel. You can get 15% off your first purchase with promo code Burner15. So we've got, a couple weeks into the season. I think it's time, folks, to go get yourself a new piece of gear if you haven't yet. Go to homefieldapparel.com. Use that promo code. It'll tell them that you came from the Burner. Everybody wins there. You get money off. We let them know that we're actually successfully doing ad reads. So make sure you get to Home Field. There's Home Field Apparel. Wear one for the team. Promo code Burner15. All right, Will.
Saw 2 Home Field DePaul shirts at the game Friday.
Good. We love
There's
to
a
hear
little free
that.
ad for you.
Yes, they're taking over, man. You see them on people on national TV wearing Home Field gear. So it is.
Candace Parker has a pretty sick Vols Home Field jacket.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the jackets
that she's been wearing in public.
Super sharp. They've got a new line of them out, and I'm trying to make enough money to buy the Mizzou one because I need more Mizzou gear. Who doesn't need more Mizzou gear? All right, Will, I will let you lead off our little 7-stat rotation as we're tentatively calling it right now. You'll start, we'll discuss it. I'll go, and we'll just kind of go back and forth based on what we saw from this week and what we're seeing this season. So I will cede the microphone to you.
Excellent. Well, this one, it feels natural to start off with a game I watched at a bar in Chicago. Shout out to Will's Northwoods Inn. Definitely a great bar. Definitely a crowd of Big Ten business school graduates who are really into the Barstool Beach House.
Yeah.
But
yes.
That being said,
it is
still lovely.
The Wisconsin and Green Bay Packer bar. So you're pulling at my heartstrings by bringing up Will's.
It whipped ass.
Yes.
I got a koozie, don't worry.
Yes.
But I watched this game here because it's Thursday evening. Purdue, Alabama. Purdue plus 24 on the boards against the Tide. Normally we don't go with pure rebound margin because it's a weird statistic, but in a close game that was otherwise pretty even, this did end up being the difference, I would say. Especially in a game where Alabama actually hit 7 more threes than Purdue. And it wasn't like Purdue was crazy efficient on twos. They were a hair above 50%. But through 4 games, 2 of these against top 100 teams, and Akron is included here. I think we both agree Akron's, not amazing, but the clear MAC favorite and a probable 12 or 13 seed candidate. Purdue plus 11.6 per 100 possessions in pure rebound margin. That's about where they were during the Zach Edey era. I do wonder how real or fake this is because the schedule will get tougher from here. But 2 aspects of this I wanted to note. 1, first time Purdue's done this as a team, 23 or higher, since the round of 32 against Utah State in Edey's final season. They did it, I believe, 4 times against Power 5s while Edey was on campus. So, I mean, that's impressive in its own right, but looking back through history, Painter teams have done this, I think, 8 times, and I looked this up on StatHead, so I hope it's accurate. 8 times against P5s. Every team that's done this, it's usually pretended really strong two-way rebounding. So I want to ask 2 things here. How real is this for Purdue, that they're going to be really good both ways on the boards? And how much of a worry is it that this was the second worst rebounding effort of the entire Oates era for Alabama? The worst since his first season.
Wow, worse than that length of time. And he had just, called out Taylor Bowen for needing more offensive rebounds. So I think he clearly knows it's a problem. I think it's fairly sustainable for Purdue. Last year, they got a bad rap for being a bad rebounding team, but they were 5th in the Big Ten in defensive rebound rate. I didn't think they were as egregiously bad there as they were at just protecting the rim in general. And then they brought in Oscar Clough, who is like a rebound vacuum. He just hoovers them up around the bucket. And they got Trey Kaufman-Renn back, who was a complete animal on the boards against Alabama. Clearly had some pent-up energy from having to sit out their first couple of bye games, and he had 15 boards in that game, 8 offensive rebounds for Kaufman-Renn. I think Purdue's going to be a really good rebounding team with that front court, the size they have, the activity level between TKR and Clough. They don't have like the big kind of athletic rebounding wings. They don't have a Cohen Carr, for instance, the way Michigan State can throw that out there. But I buy them being a really good rebounding team, especially somewhat with the shot selection they take. That was an interesting part of this Purdue-Alabama game to me, was the shot distribution, just complete opposite shot charts, with Alabama firing away from three, taking 44 threes, and Purdue taking 30 mid-range shots per Bart Torvik's box score. So it was kind of a battle of 2 versus 3, and Purdue was getting a lot of offensive rebounds. So even when they missed, they get some putbacks. They were ultimately able to pull it out there in a game that was pretty back and forth in a great environment. But I'm buying Purdue as a rebounding team, and I am definitely concerned with Alabama just because I don't know how much they can play Noah Williamson. I don't think he fits the system at all. And then they got to rely on Sherrell and Bowen and some of the freshmen.
Yeah, Noah Williamson is a really confusing fit there. I gather that Oates wanted to get bigger and, stay forceful in the front court. But it's a strange fit. It doesn't feel like he's athletically scaling up at all. Like he just feels a step slow to me. And I think you can still cobble together a pretty darn good front court here. I like Bol Bowen a lot. I didn't think he was bad in this game. I thought he was, quite solid offensively, but for sure defensively really seemed to struggle. And he's 7 feet, right? Or is he just a hair under?
Bol Bowen, yeah, I think just a hair under, 6'10".
Okay, so 6'10". 6'10", 2 rebounds in 26 minutes, unacceptable. You got to be better.
Yeah.
You got to be more physical, and you got to, shove yourself in the right spots. But I don't think you got to let, Aiden Sherrell, however you say it, escape without criticism, either 4 and 23. I don't know. It's a concerning thing. I don't know how they fix it. I do think that Alabama's offense is going to be awesome. Again, I kind of feel like that saying, there's a fork found in your kitchen. But the defense is questionable, very questionable. And you want to know one thing, I know we don't want to hammer it in too close on one game. But look, people shat their pants over Purdue struggling for 35 against Oakland. People did the same for Alabama going and beating St. John's on the road. You're never as great or as bad as you think you look. And you want to know who emphasizes this most for me? Oscar freaking Clough, who is averaging 12 and 11 after all the shit he has received in our Discord.
He's good. He's a really good player.
He's a good player. He doesn't look athletic. He doesn't look like he moves. He looks like he could be podcasting with you and me.
Absolutely.
But he's a good basketball player.
Yep. Yeah, he fills the exact kind of gap they were needing, like a real presence at the rim, additional rebounding. I mean, not a true shot blocker, but he gets in the way. He's very good with verticality, all of the boards, another finisher. He's much more offensively potent than Caleb First in the same role last year, and that's helped. Mm-hmm. Also, like any panic,
great positions guy, great at just knowing where to be.
Yeah. Any panic over Purdue before Trey Kaufman-Renn got back was just silly. Like, the guy's an All-American. He had a monster game against Alabama and was good again against Akron. Just let him get healthy, and I think Purdue's going to be just fine, particularly on offense. All right, mm-hmm. I'm gonna steal back the mic here for my first number, and it's actually 4 numbers. Will, I'm cheating. The numbers are 26, 21, 30, and 31. And those are the winning margins for the St. Mary's Gales so far this season. All of their opponents are currently inside the KenPom top 200. They are not pummeling the bottom of the barrel Division I teams. If we cut off 150 teams in Division I, all 4 of their opponents would still be there. This team is somehow a juggernaut again. We're talking about dominating the glass with Purdue. That is what St. Mary's has done and always does under Randy Bennett. Andrew McKeever looks like another monster find inside the 7-footer. And Mikey Lewis is like one of the 5 best guards in America right now. He's averaging 22, 3, and 3 on hyper efficient scoring. He's over 50% from 3. That's not going to last. But, Randy Bennett continues to unearth guys that no one who wrote a preview for St. Mary's was like, oh, Joshua Dent's going to be a key starting guard. And here he is, just like the Robin to Lewis's Batman in the backcourt. And Morauskas has been great. They've got the front court rotation with Wessels and McKeever. I'm excited to see this team against high major athleticism, but for now they are just pulling apart mid-major foes and using their size to completely dominate. And they're already up to the top 25 of KenPom because of how impressive they've been.
Yeah, I mean, this is just an exceptionally coached team, which we kind of knew would happen, but clearly well ahead of schedule. You remove all preseason priors, and they're number 4 in America. Now, obviously, I don't think that's going to last. I don't think they'll shoot 45% from three forever, or 84% from the line for the whole season. But that does kind of, even if they just shot kind of okay, it wouldn't erase the fact that they are tremendous on the boards in both directions. Their turnover rate, I think, is a little down from last year. I'll have to double check that. But they don't foul either, which is another Bennett staple. Really good at just forcing long, bad possessions for the opponent. It is so cool to see. Like, I don't, younger people may not remember that St. Mary's used to be very offense first, very, perimeter based. There's a lot of threes, a lot of like kind of hope and pray on the defensive end. And they got out physical pretty frequently when, it got to be nut cutting time in March. But now there's this new identity of, we're a two-way monster on the boards. The front court is always really strong. You have a true star guard in Lewis. And, like I said, I don't believe that they're going to be a top 5 team this year. But if we, get through the whole season and they're consistently like, in that 20 to 30 range, not really shocking at all. And if they do that again, they're going to be a threat in March once more. They're going to be a threat to Gonzaga once more, even though Gonzaga kind of looks unbeatable right now. And they're going to do their part in, it's strange to think of it this way, but sort of dragging up the West Coast Conference into potentially getting that third bid.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to make it a little bit about the WCC too, because Santa Clara has been really good. Loyola Marymount's still undefeated. Obviously, anybody that beats Gonzaga is going to have a Q1A win because they have been just like a superhero so far to start this season. San Francisco's lurking. Oregon State has been solid, although they lost to the Ducks on Monday night. But it's a pretty good league. It's up to number 8 in KenPom's rankings. It's ahead of the American right now. So I do think there's a chance this league could get 3 bids, because if the top 2 is going to be undefeated and you're guaranteed Q1 win no matter wherever you play, St. Mary's or Gonzaga, that opens the door for somebody to sneak in. And so far, there's been enough competence that I give it a puncher's chance for WCC to get 3 bids. All right, back to you, Will. I just had to give St. Mary's some love because coming into the year, it was like, how does this roster work? I like Morauskas, I like Lewis, and he's filled in the blanks completely admirably. But all right, number 2 for you.
Number 2, this is another Chicago one. This is a game I watched on my phone with my father headed back to our hotel, Michigan TCU. He was very concerned. Through 3 games, Michigan minus 5.1 turnover margin per 100. We had a real excuse for this last year with Danny Wolf because it was obvious. Like, Danny Wolf, great player in the NBA now. I think G League. Did he go down? I'm
actually not sure.
I think he did. There was like some sort of weird tweet about like, next time you think there's a sure thing, look at this guy who's down in the G League. It's like, he's the 27th pick.
Yeah, right.
Shut the hell up. Not so much of an excuse this season with what should be better ball movement. And I know a lot of people are going to look at Elliot Cadeau as the problem here, and I do think that there could be some truth to that. But, and this is like a 40 possession sample, so you really got to take some settle down juice with this. But lineups with the big 3, Yax, Morez, and Mata, 32% turnover rate on offense. Lineups with just 2 of those, 20%. That's still high, but that's a fixable number to me. 20% 3 games in. I mean, you can fix that up. Is the former fixable? Like, is that big 3 lineup going to work? Because I've seen from, people I do respect who are, more film guys and stats guys, is that they can either see it working or that Michigan should abandon it. And nobody can quite come to the same conclusion. I am of the opinion that Michigan may not be able to make the big 3 work.
I'm with you. I think it's just a little clunky. The spacing and the playmaking is a little odd. And like that fit with Elliot Cadeau as the point guard, you add that element in and you get a lot of him like, should I take this 3 that they're letting me take, or should I drive into the traffic in the paint and have a hard time finding someone to kick it to, or they go to Ademata in the post and he's getting doubled, and he's been a good passer this year, but he also has a very high turnover rate. And I think that speaks to the lack of spacing with that group when he's playing with a couple other bigs. And it also kind of neuters Lindeborg. He just becomes like a spacer, and he took 7 threes against Wake Forest and wasn't fully himself against TCU. It does feel like an experiment that may not be the right move, and it's early. They've got a lot of time to figure it out. They don't play a Big Ten opponent until December 6th, but they're about to go to Vegas for Players Era, and San Diego State's going to completely cut them at the knees with defensive fortitude if they're not able to find the right lineup. I don't think the 3 big thing is going to be the long-term answer, but I guess Dusty's got to at least try it so he can tell the guys, all right, one of you has to sit because, look, it's not working.
Yeah, and I think that it's workable with Cadeau. If Cadeau's just got to calm down a little bit. And Trey McKinney has been a really pleasant surprise so far. We should note that too. But it's tough for Dusty and for Michigan as a whole, because I think inarguably Yax, Morez, and Mata are 3 of the team's 5 best players. But this lineup only really works to me if Yax is a significantly better shooter than he is. And while he's not a bad shooter, I think he's fine. It's clearly not his forte. And lineups with him at the 4 have worked a lot better and have looked a lot better. So I remain concerned about this.
Yeah, it's just like, do they have enough wings to play only the 2 bigs? Like, because as you mentioned, that's 3, maybe they're 3 best players, the top 3 players. And if you got to take one of them off, that means you're putting in another wing. Like, you're playing, if McKinney is this good, that helps. Roddy Gales made a couple of jumpers last year. He made almost none. He had a big one in the Wake Forest game. But yeah, can you get a little
shout out to that Texas A&M game where he randomly hit like 7 to save their season?
Yeah. And then you've got Burnett, Cadeau again. They just like invite him to shoot, and he's 4 of 12, and you can look at that and be like, oh, he's hitting more than a 3 per game, and he's got decent volume, and 33% is okay, but the shots he takes are like wide, naked open because teams are begging him to shoot. That's a win if you can get Michigan to throw up a long bomb with no ball movement, when that's not a touch for the bigs, it's not a paint touch. So I think they do have to go a little smaller, and you can still dominate the offensive glass if you're playing 2 of Lindeborg, Mata, and Johnson. And beyond that, then that's how you win, like, shot volume, is don't turn it over like that and dominate the offensive glass. All right, number 2 for me, we'll switch it to a team that has looked great to start the season. We kind of fanboyed over in the preseason, and the number is 55. That's the amount of points created per 40 minutes by Mikel Brown Jr. of Louisville. It leads the entire country. Obviously, their pace helps a little with that. This is not a pace-adjusted stat, but the most points created per 40 minutes based on scoring and creating. He's not even like really ripping the nets from 3 yet, but he is a fantastic shooter, and I think he'll get there. And this offense is just lethal. I mean, Conwell, McNeely, you have incredible spacing. Javon Hadley's a great cutter. They were using him as like booty ball a little bit, which was really fun last time I watched them, because he's just like hard to handle 1v1. They've got Sananda Fruz, a big time finisher inside. They can go with the Khalifa lineup where he's 5 out and elite passer. I want Kason Pryor off this team. He like tried to assassinate somebody last game. Just like an elbow to the back of the head, a running sprint on a box out. But everybody else is really fun. And this offense is as lethal and as deadly as I think we thought it was going to be. And the ceiling is probably even higher as Brown Jr. starts to make more shots.
Yeah, this is a really fun team. Pryor gives a little bit of like 6'10" Curbelo vibes.
Yeah.
Where he's there to be an agent of chaos. And sometimes you need that, and sometimes you simply don't.
Yep.
Yeah, this Louisville team is awesome. I don't know that they're going to shoot 65% from 2 the whole way, but it kind of doesn't matter when you're as good on the boards, as good at not turning it over, and as good at getting to the line as these guys are. They just have so many answers to questions offensively. Now, do I still have concerns about them on defense? Of course. I thought they were, frankly, kind of bad defensively against Ohio.
Yep.
And Kentucky got him a few times. It wasn't, an amazing or terrible defensive performance. It was just kind of okay. But I think even so, this is just like, until further notice, the number one most watchable team in the sport.
Yeah, they've got Cincinnati on Friday. And I think that's going to be fun because Cincinnati's playing a little more up tempo and has maybe a little more offensive juice. And there's the rivalry from the Conference USA days where they were both there.
If they can make Cincinnati basketball 40 minutes of fun, they really are the world's like peak team.
Yeah, that they deserve a prize. Like Wes Miller is a hyper watchable game. Okay, all right, you did something. That is impressive. Yeah, Louisville just outstanding so far, and the Brown Jr. hype has been warranted because he's everywhere. He hits shots, he makes the right pass, and he's been way better going to the rim than I expected him to be. So I will tip my cap to him there. A couple other guys that he's up in the stratosphere with in points created per 40 minutes. These are the other guys in Power 5. Robert McCray at Florida State, because he had like a 20 assist game. But then Braden Smith, PJ Haggerty, LeBaron Filan, like guys that everybody talked about as All-American caliber players. And that's where Brown Jr. sits. That's where McCray sits too. But I think that just paints a good picture of how effective he's been. All right, over to you, Will, for your number 3 stat.
This one is personal. My number is number 1. That is Tennessee's ranking in offensive rebounding percentage.
Whew, I don't think I knew they
have rebounded. High. They have rebounded 52% of their missed attempts, and
yet they are not a top 35 offense per Bart Torvik.
Oh, they're fine. No. It's the highest ranking the highest ranking in the Martins era is 8th in the 2022-23 season, which was like the offensive rebounds were about the only reason that team could score. But that's one of just 2 top 40 finishes in the stat while he's been at Tennessee. And Tennessee's posted 3 straight games, including what will be 2 nights ago, but for us was last night against Rice, whoever they played. 3 straight games where they've gotten back 50% of their missed shots. That is normally not notable when you're playing the teams Tennessee's playing. Like, they haven't played a good team yet. I think probably the least bad one is Mercer. But even so, this is a thing they had done just 9 times in the previous 10 Barnes seasons. So I think Tennessee really went heavy on front court this offseason. You look at their play, like their roster in general here. Ament 6'10", Okpara 6'11", Phillips 6'9", Carey 6'8", Brown 6'8". JP Estrella went out with a leg injury last night, which is still TBD. But if he's available, that's another 6'11" guy, and he's been fantastic on the boards when playing. I don't think Tennessee's going to rebound over 50% of their missed shots, but this does look the part of one of your best rebounding teams in America, despite the competition.
Yeah, maybe this was something. This was like hiding in plain sight in the preseason because of how enormous they are. The front court rotation, the depth, they can just throw bodies at you repeatedly. Like Carey was a good offensive rebounder for Vandy. Brown has been, a nice piece off the bench. I think there was hype in the preseason for him, and he's delivered. And Estrella, yeah, I mean, wow, I did not expect him to make the impact he's made in his minutes. And when you're playing Ament at the 3, you have so much length and size. They have not shot the ball all that well yet. I mean, solidly. Not like a standout top of the country type of thing, but when they're getting this many boards and this many putbacks, you can survive a little bit of, if you have some vague turnover of or shooting issues, which they've had a little bit of turnover issues when Gillespie's the only true playmaker. But if you're getting anywhere near 50% of your misses or over like they are, you're going to look fine offensively. This has kind of been the story with Michigan State coming into the year. It's like, who's the shooting? Who else handles the ball besides Fears? Well, it doesn't matter if you rebound at the rate they're going to, and Tennessee's kind of actually been maybe even more of an epitome of that than the Spartans have been.
Yeah, 85 points on second chances this year, which is pretty easily number 1 in the nation. Again, you have to have some qualifiers for the competition they've played. Northern Kentucky and Mercer, North Florida and Rice. North Florida in particular is really dire. But these are teams that Tennessee wasn't really smoking on the boards in previous seasons. So I do think there's something to it. We're really not going to learn anything about this team until I would argue November 25th against Houston. Some might say November 24th against Rutgers. But we're going to find out about them, we'll say next week. So put a pin in this. This could be a top 5 rebounding team in the nation.
Yep.
We just don't know yet.
Yeah, and Rutgers and Houston, two very reputationally very physical teams. Houston's never been like elite on the defensive glass because of the way they rotate, not always in perfect position. But very interested to see that. They'll get a third game out in Vegas as part of Players Era against somebody of like similar caliber competition. And they get Syracuse, Illinois, Louisville. Like the schedule is about to get much tougher for the Vols. But if they can keep it up on the glass, then that keeps the floor pretty high offensively.
Did you know that Rutgers game is at 10 a.m. local in Vegas?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure everybody's going to be fired up for that one.
They'll have cots all across the arena. That's a great game to sleep through if you're on Pacific time.
I hope at least 2 people in that game did not go to bed the night before and just stroll into the arena.
Sweeney will be one of them, probably.
Yeah, most likely. All right, number 3, and I want to shout out Discord member Brian Kervick for this one because it is something we talked about a little in the preseason, and it's a big note now. The number is 33, and that is the number of minutes that Tarris Reed played against BYU. Only had 2 fouls. He's been okay in terms of not fouling so far in his limited playing time. And the first 2 games, competition wasn't great, but BYU is a team that he could have gotten in trouble with fouls, and he did not. And the on-off numbers for them are not like incredible for Reed because he missed a bye game and they just blew out some bad competition when he was even on the bench in their first couple of games. But they're a different team when he's out there because of his threat as like a sealer offensively, finishing in the post. He's a great offensive rebounder, and he's just a little bigger, more physical than Eric Ryba is right now. He had 21, 8, 2, and 2 against BYU. And I just think UConn's a totally different animal if he's going to be able to play 30 minutes a game. He's probably going to flirt with All-American honors if he's up in that number. And their first game that mattered, he was right there. Now they play Arizona next, and that front court could really feast and go after him and get him in foul trouble. And I should mention that BYU's starting center, Keba Keita, got hurt early in that game. But that is at least something that has raised my eyebrow, has my attention. And if he can do that again against Arizona, I think you get really serious about his All-American status and UConn being like potentially the best team in the country.
Absolutely. If he's playing 33 minutes in important games, UConn is going to be, I would argue, probably a favorite for a 1 seed.
Yep. Agreed.
I don't think that's like a controversial thing to say. We'll have to see if he can repeat it. Arizona is a different defensive animal than BYU. The problem is UConn plays like 6 of these a year. Like Dan Hurley is an amazing scheduler.
Yep.
And so I just have to remind myself, like, they are playing this one, but not this one. But they probably will play this one in March.
Eventually, yes.
So, Arizona, they're so downhill and so not perimeter adverse, but like they're happy to turn down a jumper to go attack. And I think that is a significantly different animal than BYU. So I want to see, 1, is he able to hold up playing straight up? And 2, if so, does that mean that they're giving up more points at the rim, or is he legitimately evolving into a true strong rim protector that can last?
Yeah,
so I've still got questions outlying, but I am impressed by what I've seen.
Yeah, I think that Arizona one's going to be a great test. They've got Illinois coming up. As you mentioned, the schedule is outstanding for not really playing an MTE. They did a great job of finding home and homes, neutrals, semi-neutrals to play big-time competition. And this will continue to be something we scrutinize because if he's out there, they're elite. All right, back to you for number 4.
Same game, actually, just on the BYU side. I also have to say, if you're going to play the game at an NBA arena, I do think that your team's logo should be in the court.
Yeah, I agree. The Celtics having the Celtics court was a little odd to me.
It was weird. Now, I'm sure it's a great dream for those players, a lot of whom won't be on the Devanza level, to get to play on that court with that logo. That's a great thing. But I do think, point being that they should have their team's logos on there. Anyway, the number is 7, and that's the number of assists BYU had on Saturday night. Now, I normally don't look at assist data that much because it's not really that informational. it can tell you if ball movement is good or bad, but what it also can cover up is if a team is just really freaking good at one-on-one scoring and isolating. I have to bring this up because 7 would have been easily BYU's lowest number last year. And right now they are 334th in assist percentage. That's a major change from Kevin Young's first season where they were top 40. So Bobby Wright leading the team at 23%. That's not bad. 23% is okay. That's, it's like a above average passing combo guard, I would say. Maybe like a, more score first point. But
Yep.
I am taken aback that AJ Debance is at 13%. I personally anticipated that would be 20 plus for most of the year. And not that he's been bad by any stretch. I mean, he was functionally the reason BYU got back in that game. So I'm not trying to, demean his play or say that he's not doing the right things. It's just not what I'm used to for Kevin Young and BYU. And I worry, like, is this something that can hold, or does the ball movement and like pass first identity simply need to be better? Because we're all saying this about an offense that still looked very good so far, but it's not as elite as I personally thought it would be.
Yeah, and as elite as it is going to need to be, because I don't think the defense is going to be that great. We've got to monitor Keita's status too, because they need him in the paint. Boop is an athlete, but has no offensive ability whatsoever right now. Yeah, it's felt as my turn, your turn, as like maybe the fears would be with this offense. Like Wright likes to score. He's not a true pass first point guard, despite he's played with a ton of talent throughout his career. Go back to Baylor and back at Montverde with the flag and Asa Newell and all that. But he likes to get downhill. He likes to get his own shot at times, and that is definitely Debance's MO. And I think they do need to find a way to get more ball movement here. And maybe the assist rate hurt that Richie Saunders went 0 for 7 from 3. Like, he's not going to do that very often, but it does have a little bit of stagnation to it. And as great as Debance was down the stretch, is that what you want to rely on? You just need like the one-on-one. That's going to come and go a little bit, especially against Big 12 competition. So I think they do need to find more ball movement, figure out a way to get those guys going all at the same time. Otherwise, it's going to be like, all right, I guess we just have to give it to the hot hand. And today that's AJ, or today that's Rob Wright. And it's hard to square this because, yeah, they like erased the deficit and made it a close game. But I think for their peak version, they need to look a little more like last year and have Debance in the flow of the offense rather than be the guy.
Yeah. Are you aware that this is game 1 of 6 in a row at neutral sites for them?
Oh, wow. 6 in a row. I did not know that. I know they got...
What kind of 1940s barnstormer-ass schedule is this?
They got Wisconsin, the NCAA tournament rematch. I know that.
Yeah, Miami, Dayton, Cal Bap, and Clemson, all neutral site games.
Wow. Okay. Cal Baptist on a neutral. That's surprising to me.
What are you guys doing? You have an amazing home court. Just play there.
Getting everybody ready for the NCAA tournament and AJ Debance showcases all over the country, I guess. Ugh. All right. Okay. So number 4 for me, plus 21. And this is the shot volume advantage for Marquette against Buzzball. This was shocking to me. Marquette plus 21 against Buzz Williams, the Maryland team that you expect to dominate shot volume. And Marquette still lost. That's why it was a real red flag to me. They had 20 offensive rebounds versus 4 for Maryland. Pharrell Payne left the game with injury. The free throw attempts were nearly equal. It's not like, one team got fouled way more. Marquette had a ton more shots, just could not win. This is kind of a 5-alarm fire for them defensively. Like they cannot get stops. They got torched from the perimeter by Indiana. And then next time out, kind of had issues with a very undermanned Maryland team. I mean, they're playing without Payne, without Solomon Washington at all. Miles Rice didn't play at all either. And I'm struggling to see it with Marquette. I know Sean Jones didn't play and he's been banged up, but with the advantages that they had there and the run that they went on the second half to take like a 7-point lead, seemed to control the game and to give it right back to the shorthanded team. I'm worried about Marquette, and it's, raised questions. Is Georgetown the 3rd best team in this conference? And because Marquette and Creighton haven't looked sharp. I think Marquette is definitely an underdog to make the tournament right now. They need some serious development and progress from guys that haven't quite shown it yet.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it with them either. I'm seeing, frankly, what might be the 6th or 7th best team in 3 or 4 bid league.
Yeah.
It's a bad recipe when you don't have a rim protector, but you also don't really appear to have great perimeter stoppers either. Like, I don't think Chase Ross or this freshman Nigel James in particular, those guys have been fine. I don't want to, hate on them. And honestly, as for two-way players, like Ben Gold's been pretty good. Sade Lowry has been fine. It just is what I kind of thought it might be, which is like a 2017 era rebuild in 2026.
Yeah.
And that, like, in theory, I liked that. I was hoping it would work, just as a zig to everybody's zag. But what it is going to end up being is kind of predictable, which is that this is just simply a roster that doesn't have it this year, will probably have it next year, or at least more of it. But there is a reason why everybody uses the portal now, and nobody really does this sort of traditional style rebuild at the high major level. And it's because of a scenario like this, where you're simply just not good enough this year. This is kind of I will hold out for the chance that they fix things because Shaka's very good, but it's trending towards a gap year where you're like 17 and 14, 16 and 15, something like that. We'll say like you're in like the next 8 out discussions of the NCAA tournament where you're like, if the NIT was played today, Marquette would be a 3 seed. And you're like, great.
Yeah. Hey, when it
Yeah,
expands to 76, Marquette's going to be right there.
yeah, Marquette's going to be right on the cut line. I don't think that their losses are bad by any stretch. Like, there's no penalty for losing to Indiana or even at home to Maryland. I know that's like a disappointing result, but Maryland will be okay this year. If you lose at home to Dayton on the day this is released, that is like raise the red flag, start asking some questions, and put the lineup in a blender and see what comes out type of stuff.
Yeah, and just to further hammer the defensive point, like they've gotten beat but different ways. Indiana hit 14 threes. Maryland shot 21 of 33 inside the arc. Both two different routes to 60% effective field goal percentage. And Marquette's like they're not forcing turnovers against power competition the way they need to. Yes, okay, they've got Little Rock turning it over at 30%, Albany turning it over at 30%, but didn't force turnovers at all against Indiana, not enough against Maryland, who's, again, short-handed without Miles Rice in the backcourt. I just fear that the defense it doesn't have enough oomph, and without any like rim protection, if you're not forcing turnovers, then it gets ugly against power competition.
The schedule could get ugly quick too, because you still got road trips to Wisconsin, Purdue looming in December, and you got a tricky neutral with Oklahoma coming up in a week and a half.
Yeah.
We both think Oklahoma's defense is really bad, but Oklahoma can score, and it's not like Marquette's defense is good.
I'm gonna, because we talked Oklahoma and they're one of my stats, I'm gonna keep the mic here. I'm gonna skip to another number. Yes. Because my number here is 137th, and that's Oklahoma's defensive ranking per KenPom right now. They're just pitiful on that end. They've got a top 25 offense, but they've become like Fran McCaffrey, Iowa, I guess. I don't really know if there's any hope. Like, they give up 1 point per possession to Arkansas Pine Bluff, and it wasn't like aberrational shooting. They gave up 1.46 points per possession to Nebraska at the Pentagon. They forced 5 turnovers and gave up 60% shooting from inside the arc. Nebraska's good, but like they're not devastating around the rim. They don't have a lot of penetration or like only one real post threat with Mast. I don't know what to do. I don't even know what to offer Porter Moser to fix Oklahoma's defense, because you've got Wagi, but he's foul prone and you have no backup beyond that. Your guards are small and can't keep people in front. It just seems like they're doomed to be this bad defensively, and that's going to completely thwart any potential to be a tournament team.
My fix would be to go back 7 months, tell their general manager, whoever manages the roster, to like stop taking drugs and fix it, because what you're doing is wrong. Yeah. I'm laughing. So Torvik adjusts the defensive performance for like strength of opponent, and it goes throughout the season. You can like go and see, how did this performance evolve over time? Was this good at the time, or did it, end up being kind of crappy?
Okay.
These are their performances through 4. And this is adjusted defensive efficiency for quality of team. St. Francis, 1.08 points per possession allowed, adjusted for opponent.
Ooh.
Gonzaga, 1.01. Not terrible.
Oh,
Not good. Pine Bluff, 1.14. Nebraska, 1.3. The worst thing you can say is that it kind of... Did you ever like have coaches show you practice stats for like college coaches? And it's like, I have one from, and I'm not going to name the coach, but this is 4 years ago. And it was this coach's first year at a job, and they sent me like their practice stuff for like me to review. And they had shot 42% from three in practice. And I was like, that's great. What's going to happen when you do it in an arena? And that team went on to shoot like 35% that year.
yeah.
It's like, it's completely different. Nebraska felt like it was practice.
Yes.
Like they were shooting on the practice gym with the plain white background.
Which, hey, a little bit's this venue. I think that's the Pentagon is like a perfect Nirvana shooting background.
Yeah.
But Oklahoma is going to do this consistently. And even at home, they've struggled to defend SWAC level competition. Practice is a very good comparison for how it felt. And if your defense is not making people more uncomfortable than practice, you have major issues, especially when you're going to the SEC. Good luck.
We are indeed talking about practice.
Yes, that's right. That's right, Mr. Iverson. Okay, I stole it, Will. I hogged the ball. We'll go back to you for number 5.
They have indeed called me the White Iverson in the streets.
That's right.
Plus 24.1. That is St. Louis's 2-point percentage gap through 4 games. Top 10 in the nation amongst teams who've only played D1s. I am really, really invested in this team's success. I think they're really damn good. Josh Schertz, the year 2 leap that happened at Indiana State when he got there seems to be happening here again. Nothing shocking. We both think Schertz is a great coach. I want to bring this up because while I know they still have some turnover issues, these are still really strong performances. They've played like a top 40 team with all priors removed. And I went back and looked last year. The top 10 teams in 2-point percentage gap through 2 weeks last year. There are 6 teams with 4 games played, like St. Louis. All 6 made the tournament as at-larges. The worst of those was Texas, which is kind of funny to remember them having a huge 2-point percentage gap.
Yeah.
But when your worst team on that list was a first 4 team and still got in as an at-large, and you play a way worse schedule than they did, I think you're going to be in pretty good shape. I do wish SLU had, let's say, 2 more good games. Well, let's give them, I wanted 2 more good games on this schedule for them. I know that's hard for a mid-major, but I wish they weren't playing New Hampshire, for example. That being said, if they can get past, if you can pick off one of Santa Clara or Loyola Marymount, I don't think you need to pick off both, but if you can pick off one, you're going to be in good shape. You get to A10 play with 1 non-conference loss, pretty good start.
And I think in their MTE, they'll get the winner of Stanford and Minnesota. So that's another like probably quad 2 game on a neutral. Both those should be inside the top 100.
Yeah.
If they can.
Who would be better for them then? I guess Minnesota has a slightly higher, or would you say Stanford's got the higher ceiling this year?
I'd probably say I want the team in the ACC because like hopefully Stanford can beat up on the bottom of that league. There's a chance Minnesota's still bottom 3 in the Big Ten, despite looking pretty good. So I think I would hope for Stanford. And I know any St. Louis fans listening are probably like punching the wall because they were supposed to get in the other part of I think it's the Advocare or it's or Acrisure, and they got put in like the mid-major adjacent bracket instead of the big boy bracket and really hurt their scheduling metrics there. Yeah. They're not going to play a top 50 team until ever, unless somebody from the A10 cracks that echelon. But as long as they accumulate enough like Q2 wins and get the Q1 wins on the road at VCU, I think they play early in the A10 schedule. They play at VCU. Should hopefully be enough to get them there as long as they don't drop too many bad games. And I think that team is mega potent. I mean, they took care of Grand Canyon and did it defensively. They scored under 1 point per possession and won by 14.
Yeah, and with the Grand Canyon game, they could have won by more. like you said, I mean, they still shot okay from three, but had some turnover issues, weren't like great at getting downhill, and still held like an average of a 9-point lead through the whole game. It felt to me like they easily could have won that by 20 plus.
Yep. Yeah, you mentioned the 2-point percentage gap that they've had. That's the essence of this stat. And it's not just the bye game foes. Like they shot 53% from two against Grand Canyon and gave up 31%. That's really good.
Please guess how many mid-range twos they've taken through 4 games.
Total?
Total.
12.
That's it.
Oh
12.
my God.
12 in 4 games.
That's ridiculous.
Nate Oates is fanning himself.
Yeah. Shirts is last year they just didn't have the Jimmies and Joes. They just didn't have enough Jimmies and Joes, period. Not in terms of quality, in terms of quantity.
They had James and Joseph out
there.
there.
Exactly. And now they've got real pieces. I mean, like Brady Dunlap, Kellen Thames, Eason Sharma are their like 6th through 9th guys, and they all Dunlap and Sharma were at power conference schools before this. So that tells you the depth that they've instilled, and the high-end talent's still very good with Robbie Avila and et cetera. I actually had an A10 number 2, and it's more generally about the conference. It's that there are 3 in the top 70, 3 teams, and there's also 3 in the top 100 of tempo, and it's the same 3 teams. And I don't want to make this a correlation causation question, but it is cool for the league that right now the 3 teams that are getting out and running and getting up and down are arguably the 3 best in the conference. VCU, George Washington to go along with SLU. I mean, George Washington's been outstanding to start the year. They've had maybe some sort of beneficial two-way shooting luck, but they've just been destroying teams. They beat Old Dominion by 23, American by 40, Maine by 20, and they were up big on South Florida before that game became close again. They got up double digits twice in the second half. It was a better team, like wire to wire in that game. The A10 may not be like, I know one of your bold predictions, Will, was 3-bit A10. And I don't quite know if it's going to get there, but with the way Dayton's played a little bit too, George Mason's been rock solid to start the year. They're not like knocking down the door of the top 50 as a group, but there's enough good teams here and hopefully avoiding enough bad losses that I think the 3-bid dream is still a reality. Here we are 2 weeks into the season.
Yeah, I think too. I'd be shocked, or not shocked, but I'd be fairly surprised if they don't get 2. It's trending that way where I think at least one of George Washington, SLU, VCU are gonna get to the at-large convo, and then it's just you kind of have to root against them. And they're playing us in Pittsburgh this year.
What, the A10 tournament?
Yeah, they keep moving it around. So I had a joke like 3 weeks ago about it being in Atlantic City and all that. And apparently they're not doing it there, and it's not in DC. So I guess Pittsburgh.
Yeah, okay. That's an interesting third choice.
Yeah, that is one of the choices. So it'll be Duquesne who gets the other.
Yeah, right, exactly. VCU came up just short against Utah State, just short at NC State. Either one would have been huge for an at-large resume, both just for them and for the conference to have one of those wins, and beating VCU would have mattered a little more. But I think it's been a strong start to the conference, and having, like I said, some of the more up-tempo, offensively potent teams with GW, SLU, and VCU look this good is great for the conference. So, all right, I think I'm down to 1 number left, Will, but you should have 2 based on my hogging of the ball earlier.
Yes, I've got 2. This one's a negative one, and it's unfortunate for a few members of our fandom. Minus 18.4%. This is Xavier's 2-point percentage gap through the first 2 weeks. And not only is this by far the worst for any high major in the sport, to the tune, I think, almost by 10%. It would have been the lowest for P5s last year through 2 weeks by 15%.
Oof.
And that was for an Oklahoma State team who finished 97th. That would be Xavier's lowest finish in history. These are really dark times for the Muskies. I don't know what the fix is. We both came into the season agreeing that Xavier was a next year team, that they were not building this roster really to win this year, but to coalesce and build around a much better season next season. But I didn't think it would be next season this fast, where like you get blown out by Santa Clara, blown out by Iowa, really have to scrap and claw to beat Lemoyne. Not a good sign. Marist is one thing where we both think Marist is probably going to be pretty good in the MAAC, but Lemoyne, I mean,
The
questionable at
2-point
best.
percentage gap in the Lemoyne game was -28. If an NEC
Yeah.
team that was in D2 like 3 years ago is out shooting you from 2 by 30%, you have major problems. Like they got narrowly out rebounded by Lemoyne. Like every athletic indicator is that this team is like low major. It's scary. I think it could get a lot worse. They've got Old Dominion on Tuesday night, the night we were recording. So that game will have happened by the time people are listening to this. Certainly not outside the realm of possibility they drop a bye game and get a John Rothstein brutality tweet tonight.
Now, the encouraging thing for Xavier fans to me is that this is basically what happened in year one at New Mexico for Rich. 13-9, 5-12, 314th in 2-point percentage defense. Then the next 3 years, 22 wins, 26 wins, 27 wins. That's a different time, but even so, that first year, there was still some Portal era mixed in. It wasn't all old UNM players. So I won't be shocked if we see something similar next year, where this year may already be a lost cause. We'll see. But next year should be quite a bit better. You got to give Patino a little bit of time to build his way.
Yeah, you hope they get Pizzato back at some point from the meniscus and let him, he, Milicevic, Robinson, Wright, those are the sophomores that could potentially return. See what you have in them. But yeah, I don't think you're going to miss much of Roddy Anderson, much of Borovichinen. Like the veterans on this team are not Big East players, and it's shown quite a bit so far. So yeah, sorry Musketeers fans. I know it's bleak to listen to podcasts these days, and they're probably just shutting their ears, especially with the crosstown shootout coming up this weekend. Or no, sorry, not till December, but it's bleak. That's going to be their Super Bowl. Win that game, and they'll probably forgive the rest of a terrible season.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you want to finish it with your seventh, or do you want to? Should I take it down?
I'll finish with my seventh. This is one I found this morning and really shocked me. It's three numbers: 10.5, 10.0, and 8.0. These are the 4-game averages: points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, for one Zach Cleveland at Liberty. Now, 2 of these are against non-D1s, but I still want to single this out because there's 2 items here of interest. 1, we have never had a player average 8+ points per game, rebounds per game, and assists per game in the history of Division I basketball. Never happened, which seems kind of nuts.
Yeah, it does. Oscar Robertson played D1 basketball.
Yeah. Now, I mean, like maybe in StatHead's defense, this could have just been like the last 20 years.
Oh, yeah,
but still.
Okay. Yep.
But never seen it. But the other aspect here, I did have to manually like dive through some data to look this one up. Nobody has done this to start a season, 8+ points per game, rebounds per game, and assists per game in their first 4 games since one Denzel Valentine in 2015-2016, the Player of the Year season. He had 15.39 and 9.8 then. I don't think Zach Cleveland is on Denzel Valentine's level. Maybe he is at missing end of game threes like Denzel did that one time. But this is still impressive to me. I know there's a couple of non-D1s mixed in there, but we all really do like this Liberty team. They're pretty clearly the best of the low majors this year. Seem predestined, I would say. Is that a weird thing to say about a religious school? Predestined for a 12 seed. I'm already mentally locking them in to play 5 seed whoever in the first round. But Cleveland looks awesome.
Seth Davis has already picked them to win that game.
Yeah. Well, best of luck for him. The rare team with 2 Xanders. That feels appropriate, I would also say.
Yes.
But yeah, Zach Cleveland, really good player. And I don't feel like I've heard much of anything about him nationally, because a lot of the attention on Liberty focuses on the tiny backcourt of Matheny and Porter, as well as this West Liberty transfer, J.J. Harper, who is awesome.
Yes.
But Cleveland seems to be the straw that stirs the drink.
It's very funny you had a Liberty number in here, because the trivia question this week was almost what team has 3 of the top 5 players in net rating, and it is Liberty, because not some of the non-D1 stats in there, but and garbage time, but they have been sensational when Cleveland, Matheny, and Porter share the court. Like, just completely unstoppable. The three best players that basically never leave the floor. They play slow enough that they don't really need much depth, even though they have a little bit. Yes, they will probably run into some issues against better competition. Like when they play NC State, their lack of size, when they play Dayton, their lack of size could hurt a little bit, both on the perimeter and in the paint. They're 364th in average height, which is part of their guards, partially their guards and partially their centers, but they execute so well. They can shoot the lights out. They're going to be a pain to play against for their entire conference. And whenever they do get that 12 seed, assuming they get there, the question with them is, can they mount a charge at net large if they split at NC State and at Dayton and go like 17-1 in CUSA? I think there's a chance they could end up in that conversation because they are that good and that well coached.
Yeah, and it's going to help. So they play in the ESPN Events Invitational. Did you know this is called the Adventure Bracket?
Oh yeah, there's like the Magic Bracket, and yeah, there's a whole bunch of goofy Disney related jargon with their brackets.
They should have Goofy come out like at halftime and do Red Panda's thing.
Would love that.
Yeah. So you have like Disney, it's like all the normal halftime shit like Frisbee Dogs, but with Disney characters.
Yeah, Frisbee Dog is, I guess, Goofy again.
Yeah, it's Goofy does all of these. Is what I'm getting at. I think we could that would be the Goofy bracket.
Yeah,
people would love to play in the Goofy bracket.
But yeah, that field is like mid-major all-star world, right? Like Vermont and
yeah. They're going to be heavy favorites because Bradley kind of looks incomplete. I'm not big on Temple this year. UC San Diego, I don't know. So like they could kind of, I wouldn't say breeze through it because there's some landmines there, but you win that. And ideally, if possible, you pick off Dayton on December 20th. And then I think you are in at-large territory because a loss at NC State is that's a non-issue to me.
Yep.
Though I do think at that point you probably got to go like 18-2 in the CUSA to be okay.
Yep. And unfortunately, there is not currently a Q2 game in CUSA. There's no one offered there. Maybe New Mexico State or Louisiana Tech or Kennesaw could sneak up into that vicinity and be that game. But right now it's just Q3, Q4 landmines, and you got to win almost all of them.
Yeah. No Q2 this year.
Yes, Q2. I like that. That's very good. All right. My last number, Will, is a nod to Syracuse right now, which maybe no better team running better on 3-point luck. No one is making threes against them right now. But what I do want to compliment them on is a major statistical flip in their average possession length defensively. They're currently 358th, so allowing very long possessions. Last 2 seasons, they've been 7th and 6th. It's been really easy to get a layup against them or to get an open shot early. And definitely part of this is their opponents. Delaware State plays slow. Drexel plays slow. Binghamton has played very slow this year. But still, I think it is notable that it has flipped to this extreme from top 10 to bottom 10. And I don't think the defense is going to be as good as it's been so far because, as I mentioned, teams are shooting 16% from three. It's the lowest in the country. But at least forcing teams to work for better shots and switch a little better defensively, have a little more of an identity. They have more size and athleticism on the wing. Freeman and Kyle are very mobile big men, which I think has helped. That is a positive indicator in itself. And yes, we don't know much about Syracuse yet. We'll find out when they go to Vegas for Players Era. Then they get Tennessee after that. But I'm at least like seeing the under the hood signs and saying it's more encouraging than it is just like phantom type numbers.
Yeah, like you said, I don't think they're going to allow these shooting numbers forever, but it's nice to see the turnover production is up. I think a big part of this is they don't play zone anymore. It's been entirely man-to-man this year. It's a different scheme, and the athleticism being up definitely helps them run that scheme. I think this is a more athletic Syracuse team than the last few, which is good. I still remain unconvinced of them. I think a good result for them is actually obviously to win a game in Players Era, but in the event they don't, you play Houston and Kansas off the bat, keep one of those close. If you lose one of those close, I think you're in a good position for an at-large.
Yep.
It's a weird thing to say, but like that is encouraging enough to me. So I mean, we could all say this, and then by the time this goes up tomorrow, they would have escaped Monmouth by 3 points and allowed Monmouth to shoot 50% from three. It's possible. It sounds dumb, but it's possible. I am willing to accept the fact I could be wrong on Syracuse, and that maybe they are better than I thought, and that they could sneak in as an at-large. And that would genuinely be really good for the program if Red Autry gets in, just gets in the tournament and saves his job, because while a lot of people are really high on Jerry McNamara and Siena, there's not like a laundry list of amazing candidates for this job. There's a laundry list of like above average to good ones. There's not like a surefire yes guy, though.
Yeah, I think like Hodgson is from the Buffalo area, South Florida. That's one that people have bandied around for sure. But Will, I think we just unearthed a new segment. I am willing. That's your new segment. I'm willing to admit.
And it's just I need like a philosopher's hat for that one.
Yes, yeah.
Get one on Amazon. There's like some Ren Fair stuff I could probably find.
Yeah, why not? Okay, that's all our numbers. Well, we got to do our very quick favorite segment. This is what happened Tuesday night. Tell the people as they listen Wednesday morning, even though we don't know because we're recording on Tuesday morning. Will, tell the people what happened in Champions Classic.
Good win for Michigan State. Very classic Izzo win. Not like a fun game to watch, I would say. I was watching it and it was just kind of frustrated that these two teams were not more entertaining. Kentucky missed Jalen Lowe. I know that he's not this amazing shooter, but his playmaking was sorely missed as Michigan State won by 2. Duke, Kansas, shockingly close given O'Darren Peterson. But Duke pulled away late to win by 10. Kansas just frustratingly incomplete without Peterson. Not a great team, not a bad team. They kind of look like a 6 seed without him. But when he comes back, I think they're going to look better.
Yep.
A little bonus here. A little bonus for you. Good road win for Little Rock at Murray State.
Wow.
That's a good, surprising road win there for them.
Yeah.
Murray State, still like them a lot, just didn't have their best game. Little Rock pulled off a good one and remain, I would say, the clear favorites in the OVC.
Yep, I love it. You heard it here first, folks, or you heard it here second after you watched it last night. That's how this segment works.
I don't think we're ever topping me getting the Louisville game spot on.
No.
I should retire.
Yeah, exactly. Well, please don't. I'd like to keep doing the show with you, but
yeah, you can't find another new co-host. We already had to do that.
Yeah, that's a nightmare. But yes, that is what happened Tuesday night, and that is this week's episode of Stats by Will and Jim, going through the numbers that we saw over the past week and how they project and matter going forward. Thank you to Basket Under Review for the place to do this, the platform. Trilly Donovan for giving us the opportunity. Thanks to Corey Aldis, our producer behind the scenes, to Home Field for sponsoring the show, and to Sam Freyer for the graphics. Will, any other shout outs before we let the people go?
Shout out to Will's Northwoods Inn, Elite Bar. Shout out to the CTA Blue Line. Got me to O'Hare and back very easily. Very good line. No problems. Wrigley Field, good ballpark. Nothing shocking there. Yep. And the Bill Simmons, Chuck Klosterman podcast. Unbelievable airport listening experience. As Chuck asks, have you heard it yet?
I have not. I have not.
Oh God. You got to go for just the part where Bill asks Chuck why there's no great bands anymore. And he's like, I know, but he's like, Ben, his son, my son is really into the Smashing Pumpkins. Does there need to be music anymore when Siamese Dream exists? Just like you hear that and it's like, these are the minds of my generation. Yeah. It just makes me so. I would never be able to explain to a normal person why I love this, but like if you're a Bill guy, you get it.
Oh man, that's priceless right there. I haven't listened to a ton of Bill recently, but Bill and Chuck, maybe I got to dial it back up for those guys. Just
it's
going
so
off the rails.
The video's even better. I'm not sure what bunker Chuck records from, but it's beautiful.
Oh, okay. That's the final recommendation you get here from Will and Jim here. This is Stats by Will and Jim. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back again next week. Likely recording Tuesday, show coming out Wednesday. So we'll see you back again then. Until then, enjoy the college hoops and cheers.